And you talked in there about how companies are leveraging this to attract talent. There's a lot of discussion around this as to, and it seems every couple of years, okay, how are we, especially SMBs, trying to compete with larger organizations with large salaries and budgets and comp plans and campuses with game boards. Uh, what are you seeing, or how are you advising the small to mid-sized businesses this year on how can you win that game and get the people that you want?
Yeah, I think this is not a conversation that's going to go away for SMBs, right? It's you cannot compete on salaries, on benefits, on, also in a way career development, right? Because you don't have a global organization where you can say, hey, you were a CFO in the US, now you're going to be a CFO in Mexico for the next 6 months, right? It's not that type of career opportunities. So I think the things that first of all, the things that don't cost money at all that SMB can implement tomorrow and that are highly valued by candidates and then employees is transparency. I think being a transparent leader, it does not require investment at all, right? But it's this effort that you put into being transparent of where the business is going, what's the strategy, involve, employees in an SMB can really, really make a difference. Having empowered, safe, the feeling of safety and accountable is oftentimes something that you will not necessarily get in a bigger structure that might be political, that might be, So I think that that's something that definitely SMBs do and do well in certain cases. I've had examples where an entire organization, it's a large company, 700 FTE, and the way they look at training and skill development of their employees is they take the business objectives of the company for the next year, and they design specific courses to make sure that all employees are up to that level. And I think this is amazing because basically, regardless if you're a carpenter or if you're a CFO, you sort of know exactly where the company is going, and the company is empowering you to get there, right? So there's this feeling of belonging, but also like, hey, I contribute directly to this company. So that's something, of course, building an entire program of courses and education. This costs money, but the transparency around where you want to go and where the business is going, that's something that doesn't cost anything. I think also another thing that doesn't cost any money is to lead by example. And in a small organization, you're even more, like employees will see. So another example, if you're asking your employees to be careful of budgets all the time, no, you cannot have a second screen, or no, and yourself and the management team, you go on a beautiful retreat for 3 days in a 5-star hotel. These are conflicting messages, right, for employees. And I think it's very important, like as a leader, these are the two things that you can do immediately that sort of differentiate yourself from a much larger company that might offer better perks and benefits, but will not, do these two things that are important for employees. I think also, in a way, if you are an SMB, like what you offer is very unique. And I think that for candidates who are thinking of applying to an SMB, and it's also what attracts them is the size, the reasonable size, the sort of the interactions and the empowerment that they can get. I think it's also something that's you can play on, right? And apart from that, I also think that very, very concretely as an owner or as a leader, you can work on your employee branding. It's not about doing like 50K corporate video about who you are, but it's about, hey, like, how about we communicate on LinkedIn on how our employees are, what kind of roles they're doing, what kind of, things they achieve on a daily basis. And I think these are things where you need to think about allocating resources to that, but it's not as gigantic of a task as you might think.